So we passed several hours with these guys. They're at the Abiquiu Inn as well. We go back, we have dinner, we talk, blah, blah. Next day, we decide that we're going to go up to the top of this mountain that we have seen. And it's a drive. So we buy groceries and we get headed that direction. And we are driving up this long road, and we've got a 1/50,000 map, and I'm the ranger, so I'm kind of navigating. And I'm looking at where we're going. Mel Riley's in the back, Ed's driving. And of course, there's beer in the car and everything else because we're going looking for a portal. Why not? And I'm trying to keep us where we're going on this road going up the mountain. But it's hard to tell, because the landscape it's hard to match the topography to the map, but still we're doing it. And what I'm really looking for is I want to find the road or the trail that's marked on the map that takes you to the very top of the mountain. Why? Because the mountain is the profile that we had all sketched in multiple sessions. So we assumed that was the place we were supposed to go. Something should be perceivable if we were able to get up there to do that. So we're driving, and I think we missed the trail because it's just a trail. It's not a road, as it turns out. And I'm going, okay, you're going to have to go up here and do a 3-point turn and turn around. And so we start heading up the road, and old Eagle Eye Mel sitting in the back, he goes, there's 2 guys up there, like way up there. I mean, literally, he sees 2 guys like a mile and a half down the road as the road is ascending and bending to the left, right? And so we drive up there because the temperature's dropping and the sun's going down, and we know that it's going to get cold, and 2 guys walking up there just seems an unusual thing. So as we close on these individuals, it becomes apparent that these are Native Americans, so probably belonging to one of the tribes that's in the area. And as we roll up on them, Mel looks and says, they're armed. Which, okay, maybe that was a bad thing or maybe it was a good thing. I don't know, but they're armed. And so there's like a pistol stuck down the front of one guy's belt, and the other guy's got a rifle slung over his shoulder. And yeah, it was a little disconcerting at first as we rolled up there, not because they were Indian, but because what the hell are 2 guys doing out here walking, down the mountain kind of a thing. It just seemed unusual. So I'm looking around like, what will I use as a weapon? Am I going to roll up some paper, hit him with a bottle, something else? And then, Mel gets out and does his whole, yatahe thing to them and starts talking to them about Native American kinds of stuff. And they are immediately connected with him. Smiles come across their faces. Sigh of relief for me and Ed. And he brings the 2 Native Americans, the 2 Indians come to the back, and they jump in the back on either side of Mel. And so we're like, we have beer. And they're like, sure. And so they have a beer, and we're talking, and we're going like, what brings you guys up here? And they go, well, we're collecting firewood and our truck got stuck. My ranger mind is going, that doesn't sound like 2 Indian guys would come up here and get stuck in their truck. So I'm constantly in this like, holy shit, this could get bad kind of thing. But it was perfectly okay. And Mel with them, the whole frenetic energy just kind of dropped down. He had that kind of power of things. And I swear to you, we didn't get turned around. We drove like 500 meters up the road, and we were getting ready to turn around. And one of the Indians says, so guys up here looking for UFOs, aliens, that kind of stuff? I swear to you, that's what he says to us. So we all look at each other. As a matter of fact, is this where we ought to go? They're like, nah, this is not the place to come. This is not the place to go. No, you need to go to this other place down this road, this highway, that highway. And it was City of the Damned or Dead City or Eternal City. It was something like that they named. I have never been able to find it again on a map. It could be just because the ruins are insignificant enough that they're not there, but I think they would be significant. There were kivas there. It was on the top of a big plateau. It was clearly strategically, tactically positioned where it was. And so the next day, groceries again for a long stay. And of course, we weren't smart enough to bring rucksacks or anything. So yeah, it's in grocery bags. So we we pull up, we park in this place that's off the road and away, and we do the same thing we did in the other place. We camouflage this big Cadillac that we're driving because it was the only thing we get that would haul all of us and our stuff. And so we park this Cadillac, and we are pulling up tumbleweeds and piling, and we make a Cadillac pile to hide it, right, from any prying eyes. So we start up this very steep escarpment because on the map that settlement is there, but that is where the Indians told us to go. And so we start climbing. I start to get really concerned about Mel because he is a kind of a chain smoker. He's not in shape. Ed's in perfect shape, and Mel starts to get really pale going up. So I get Ed and us. We come over and sit with Mel until Mel's blood pressure gets back up again, and hydrated and ready to go. And then we start again. This happens 3 times going up this very steep climb up to this plateau. And we're a long way away. I'm thinking if he goes down, this is where he'll die, because I don't know how we would get him down off of this and get him to a hospital in time. And this was not in the days when you had cell phones, right? We didn't have those. So it was unnerving, to say the least. And we had no radio contact with anybody, I guess, for a reason. Finally, we get to the top, and we get Mel kind of back in shape and stabilized again. And we get up to a place, and our plan for the night is that we are each going to go to a kiva, one of the kivas, the round circular depression.
Now, just to be clear, this is a different mountain than the one you started with. This is the Dead City or whatever they called it.
No, we were going up the large mountain, and our Native American friend said, this is not the place to find what you're looking for. Where you want to go is this place, which was this City of the Damned, ancient something, whatever it was. It was a pretty ominous name. And were we front loaded? Of course we were now, because it's right on the map, right? And so we go up there, and we don't know what to expect because they're kind of nondescript about what will happen there. But they said it's a special place. Expect things to happen there. So getting up there, our plan as we discussed it, and when we were up there, was we were going to build a fire up at the top. And as the fire was burning with all of our supplies, we were each going to go, because we found different kivas, and we were going to go into these kivas, which were spiritual places, and each of us were going to do our own session. Like we were going to do an extended remote viewing session. No paper, just see what you experience and feel here. And so all of that happened. We rejoined back up around the fire, and then we discussed our findings. And I'll summarize. We felt that we saw this place as kind of a last stand for an element of a civilization that was not part of the Anasazi. So it was not necessarily a competing tribe, but it was something that the Anasazi wanted, or something that they had something the Anasazi wanted. As we roamed around the structure and looked at it before the sun went completely down, you could tell that this was a defensive structure. There were walls that were set up that were not walls that needed to be there. And these were walls that were 15, 20 feet high at the approaches, right? So the path the route we came up, that had walls at the top, but they were shorter walls because they didn't need to be big walls. but a wall where there was like a saddle approach from another place that had walls and one gate, one very narrow gate that was widened inside, which meant that a number could protect that narrow opening from anything trying to get there. I don't know that anybody else would actually look at that except maybe an archaeologist and think that, but certainly from a military perspective, this was like an Alamo. This was like a last stand for a people, and that was the energy that we sensed there. This was a place of sorrow. It was a place of finality. It was a place of, this is it kind of a thing. Certainly, it must have taken time to build the place and to be there. So it wasn't like they ran there and then turned around and defended. It was just clearly that civilization there existed. How big is it? It was not big. It was maybe 400 meters long and 200 meters wide, literally like a masada, right up on a plateau. Same, just an unusual sense of sorrow and fear, and that came to all three of us in our work there. Front loaded, yes, of course it was. I will always say that, which means that for us it was experiential and it was anecdotal. Can we tell what was real and what wasn't? No, we can't, and so we should never say that. But there were parallels and correlations in data when we did it and came back and just discussed it. We didn't all sit together and come up with something. We all had our experience, came back and shared it, and then I ended up being scribe making notes because I was going to type this up to give to Fern when we got back. While we were there standing around the fire now, just looking, we watched the moon go down, and the moon went down right over the top of this mountain. It just disappeared as the earth rotated over the top of the big mountain, because where we were, you could see the big mountain, right? You could see it there. And so watching the moon go down, and now we're standing in complete darkness, and we just started entertaining ourselves by like kicking the logs in the fire, because when we kicked the logs in the fire, a billion, sparks would go off and they would all float up into the sky. And it was, we just kept doing that and going, look how beautiful that is. It's amazing. And all of a sudden, Mel says, what is that? So we look over at this, he's pointing towards the mountain. So we look over at the mountain, and I didn't see it. And neither did Ed, because we weren't looking that direction. But Mel said something dropped down out of the sky over the top of that thing. Okay. So we stopped kicking the logs and we paid attention looking over there. And had to be at least 2 hours go by. And it's starting to get to the point, well, maybe Mel saw a meteor falling out of the sky or something else. And then, it happened. And it was not a meteor. It was too intense, too bright, and too slow to have been a meteor, because it came out of darkness and disappeared right over the top of this mountain. Was the compass man, so I had a lensatic compass with me, and I shot an azimuth to where that was. We'd already been told by our Native American friends, this mountain is not it, but this other place where you're standing is. Part of the story was they even offered us their horses to go up there because they firmly believed in this place. And maybe they wanted to rent their horses. I don't know. So we didn't do that. We huffed it. We humped it, right? And so when we shot this azimuth, we put down on the map, and we went from right where we were, and we drew an azimuth from that point across the top of the mountain and followed that azimuth out a distance of probably 30 kilometers, maybe more. And on the map, on the 150,000th map, where that azimuth pointed was Chaco Canyon. So we hung around to see for more hours to see, would we see something again? And we did not. So the rest of the night was spent just paying attention to that and looking around and seeing what would happen, and nothing happened. Nothing else happened.
If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like, subscribe, and notification buttons. Additionally, if you have any feedback, please put something in the comments below. And lastly, if you want to watch the full episode of this clip, you can find it above. Thanks again for watching.